Buckingham Palace. It's outside so familiar. It's inside, for most of us, wrapped in mystery. But for kings, queens, presidents and diplomats, the inner courtyard and the grand entrance is the ceremonial setting for the nation's welcome. And the palace steps provide the same welcome when, for just 20 days a year, the doors of the grand entrance are open to the guests and recipients to be honoured at the investiture ceremonies.
And once more, down towards the camera now. Good.
Nowadays, of course, many thousands of visitors can see the garden and staterooms during the summer, but few get this very special invitation. Eight o'clock in the morning, and London begins another working day. But for the 130 men and women who are anxiously making their way to the capital, it's the culmination of many weeks of preparation. It's the day of their investiture at Buckingham Palace. By 8:30, preparations at the palace are well underway. Everything from the state apartments to the ballroom, the scene of many state occasions where today's investiture will take place, are given detailed and careful attention. Throughout the year, the staff of the Central Chancery at St. James's Palace deal with all aspects of the honours system with the help of records dating back literally hundreds of years. The Chancery also sends out the invitations together with warrants signed by the Queen.
Should we just check the numbers of the MDAs?
Yes, right.
That's the gents should be number 2046.
Yes.
2046, yeah. And the ladies should be L370. L370, perfect.
Following the compilation of the Queen's birthday and New Year's honours lists, all the details are checked against records and then sent out to be published in the London Gazette.
The Honourable Dame Lois Brown Evans, to receive the honour of knighthood and to be a Knight Commander, Military Division, Air Marshal Sir John Baird. Is that the right order?
No, in fact the Air Marshal should come first because he's Military Division.
Right.
When the various insignia arrive from the makers, each star, medal and ribbon is given a final check and then stored in the vaults of the Central Chancery of the Orders of Knighthood. At 10 a.m. precisely, the palace gates are opened to the recipients and their guests, whilst last-minute checks are made in the ballroom by the officer in charge.
Right, we'll check the insignia. 1 KCMG, 2 Knights Bachelor, 1 CB Military, 1 CB Civil, 1 CMG, 1 CVO Ladies, number
L111.
L111, correct.
Good morning, sir. Many congratulations. Thank you.
20 investitures are held at Buckingham Palace each year. 9 in the spring, 2 in July, and 9 more in the autumn.
1 Air Force Cross, 2 Queen's Police Medals, 1 Queen's Fire Service Medal, 1 MBE Military, 2 OBE Military. Right, that's it, they're all present.
For most of those to be honoured, and for the guests who come with them. This is the first and only time in their lives when they will be received by the Queen in the ballroom at Buckingham Palace. Each recipient will take away an impression of magnificent sights and sounds that will be long remembered. All will experience a unique sense of occasion that will be hard to match during their lifetime. Part of that sense of occasion will be given by the Yeomen of the Guard, the Queen's oldest bodyguard, arriving here from St. James's Palace. Their long and faithful service to the Sovereign has been maintained for over 500 years.
This way. On this bench here. When you're supposed to be outside.
Investitures are stage managed with almost military precision by military men. The timing of well-rehearsed events leading up to the investiture must be accurate almost to the second. At 11 a.m., it will all begin. The Green Drawing Room is one of the principal rooms in the palace. Designed by Nash, it has a very harmonious interior, set off to advantage by the modern green silk. Today, while the room is readied and the props are set, a few moments for the new knights to get acquainted.
Professor Helen, gentlemen, good morning. Could I ask you to go around that end of the room, and then I've got the props in the right place, just across that face.
Their briefing is carried out by the Controller of the Lord Chamberlain's office, Lieutenant Colonel Malcolm Ross.
Welcome to the Green Drawing Room, to those who don't know Buckingham Palace. To those who have been to an investiture before, it's just the same as last time. And I apologise if I haven't even changed the script. This is the Green Drawing Room. This is where we're going to hold you until we take you through to the ballroom. The ballroom being where your investiture takes place, and the ballroom is right down at the south end of the palace. What happens when it's your turn to be invested is probably best described if I walk myself through it, and you please imagine that it is you. So here you are. You're the head of the queue, if I could put it as crudely as that. You've been in this room on the far side of the ballroom, working your way up until you are now, as I say, head of the queue, standing in a doorway, looking out into the ballroom. And from your position here in the doorway, you see out there in the middle of the room, on a shallow dais, the Queen. Standing beside the Queen, on this side of her, is her equerry, who will be reminding her of you as you approach. On this side of the equerry, with a lectern and microphone, the Lord Chamberlain, who'll read out your name. More of that in a moment. Roughly in front of the Lord Chamberlain, and on the edge of the red carpet stretching out from where you are, Colonel Malcolm Havergal, a gentleman usher to the Queen. That is he. That is the other side of he. Thank you very much indeed. To your right, seated and watching you, your guests, and standing beside you in this doorway, Melissa Morris from my office, who, for the last time, I promise you, will check your name. She will also, at the right moment, ask you to go forward into the ballroom. When you're asked to go forward into the ballroom, walk up to the gentleman usher and stop. Listen, please, for your surname, ignoring anything that follows. Walk on through the middle of the room, stop, turn to face the Queen, a little curtsy or bow, go straight forward towards the Queen. For four of you, lucky gentlemen, the stool will be there. We ask you to go down on your right knee on the stool, and I've got Sir Howard and Sir David, Michael, and Sir Robin I can't identify. You, sir. Right. For you four, the stool will be there. Please go down onto the stool on your right knee, and how we recommend you do that, stop behind it, take the handrail in your right hand, put your left foot on the left side here, and lower yourself comfortably onto your right knee. The Queen will tap you first on the right shoulder and then on the left shoulder with the sword. She says nothing. Once you've received the accolade on both shoulders, stand up, come around to the left-hand side of the stool, and stand where I am here, still on the ground, not going onto the dais. Okay? The Queen will then attach to you the insignia that you are to receive. All the gentlemen are going to receive a neck decoration. It goes over your head in one piece. It helps the Queen a little bit if you can incline your head, particularly if you're tall like Kevin, incline your head so it goes over the top and hangs around your neck. While she's doing all of that, while she's pinning or otherwise investing you, the Queen will talk to you. Obviously you respond. She then shakes your hand. It is a firm and positive handshake. You will not miss it. It is also the indication that your time is up. So when you get your hand shaken, please reverse those same sort of 3-4 paces for that second curtsy or bow, so none of that close up, and away.
George IV's original palace lacked a large room for entertaining and ceremonial work. But Queen Victoria rectified that shortcoming by adding the ballroom. At 122 feet long, 60 feet wide and 45 feet high, the ballroom is the largest room in Buckingham Palace.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Buckingham Palace. You will probably have read in the blue booklet what happens during an investiture, but I thought it might be of interest to describe it again now that you're here in the ballroom. There are normally 21 investitures held during the year at Buckingham Palace, one at Cardiff Castle and one at the Palace of Holyrood. Each Buckingham Palace investiture being for about 130, and today there are 130 exactly, recipients. These are held by the Queen, or by the Prince of Wales, or the Princess Royal on behalf of Her Majesty. Investitures in London are always held in the ballroom, which is the scene of state banquets, the annual diplomatic reception, and other state occasions. Shortly after I finish speaking, 5 yeomen of the Queen's bodyguard of the Yeomen of the Guard will enter the ballroom and take up position on the dais. The Yeomen of the Bodyguard are the oldest royal bodyguard in the world, having been founded in 1485 in the reign of King Henry VII, over 500 years ago. At 11 o'clock, the Queen and her party will enter the ballroom by the door on my left, escorted by 2 Gurkha orderly officers, a custom instituted by Queen Victoria in 1876. Please stand when Her Majesty's party enters the ballroom. The string orchestra of the Band of the Scots Guards, under the command of Major Robert Owen, will play the national anthem. Please remain standing until Her Majesty bids you be seated. The investiture will then begin. The Lord Chamberlain, Lord Luce, announces the name of each recipient who will enter through the door on my right. After being invested, the recipient will leave through the door on my left and re-enter the back of the ballroom and take a seat. Please can I ask you to remain seated throughout the ceremony, as if you stand, others behind will have difficulty in being able to see. Please could I also ask you to confine your conversation to a low whisper, as if there is a general buzz of conversation, it is difficult to hear what's being announced. And however great your admiration may be for a particular recipient, please may I ask you not to applaud. At the end of the ceremony, the Lord Chamberlain will walk forward and stand in front of Her Majesty the Queen. This is the signal for all to stand. Then the national anthem will be played, and then the Queen will withdraw. Please will you leave the door by through which you entered. Your friends and relations who have been decorated will meet you at the back of the ballroom. The ceremony normally takes about 1¼ hours. Thank you very much.
The picture gallery is 155 feet long, the length of 2 tennis courts. It was remodeled in 1914 under the direction of Queen Mary, who also replanned the picture arrangement. There are pictures here that were collected by Charles I, George III, George IV, and Queen Victoria.
Where are the jobs that you've done, you think? We've managed to get all the press coming down a little bit. Coming here around various parts same kind of approach. And our search, so some of
would you like in this half of the picture gallery to sort yourselves out so that you can see and hear? Which means if you're tall at the front, thank you, sir, and if you're short at the back, they'll be kind.
Today, most recipients are briefed here.
Can you all see and hear? Last chance. Because what I'm going to do is tell you what's going to happen during your investiture this morning. It's very simple. It's absolutely straightforward. There are no catches. Relax. Relax, I promise you. If you do so, you will enjoy it, and as importantly, you'll remember it. How many of you paid good money and been around this place in the summer? Hooray! Thank you. One loyal... You beasts, come on, you should be here. Loyalty, we need the money. There you go. Thank you very much, madam. Well, you know, and they don't know, that this is the picture gallery. And the picture gallery is roughly in the middle of Buckingham Palace. And this is where you're going to wait until we take you to the ballroom, because it's in the ballroom that investitures take place. The ballroom is right down at that end of the palace. What happens when it's your turn then to be invested is probably best described if I walk myself through it and you please imagine that it is you. So here you are, you've been waiting in this room on the far side of the ballroom, working your way up, and you're now the head of the queue, if I could put it as crudely as that. You're standing in the doorway, looking out into the ballroom. The ballroom stretches left and right, rather as the picture gallery here does, but it's a very different proportion. From your position here in the doorway, you see out in the middle of the room on a shallow dais the Queen. She's surrounded by some of the household. Those who you will notice immediately on this side of the Queen is her equerry, who'll be reminding her of you as you approach. On this side of the equerry, with a lectern and microphone, the Lord Chamberlain, who'll read out your name, more of that in a moment. Roughly in front of the Lord Chamberlain, and on the edge of the red carpet stretching out from where you are, Colonel Malcolm Havergal, a gentleman usher to the Queen. That is he. That is the other side of he. Thank you very much indeed. Right. To your right, seated and watching you, your guests, and standing beside you in this doorway, an official from my office who, for the last time, I promise you, will check your name. She will also, at the right moment, ask you to go forward into the ballroom. When you're asked to go forward into the ballroom, walk up to the gentleman usher and stop. Listen, please, for your surname, ignoring anything that follows. Walk onto the middle of the room, stop, turn to face the Queen, a little curtsy or bow, and move up to the dais. The Queen is on the dais. You do not go onto the dais. But will you come up nice and close, because the Queen by then will be holding your medal. She wants to put your medal onto you, and she can't do that if you're standing 4.5 feet from her. So come nice and close and stop. As I say, the Queen will then put on your medal. Most of you have got a hook here. If you're a lady with a hook here, you're going to get a brooch. If you're a gentleman with a hook here, you'll get a medal. There are some in this half of the picture gallery and one in this half of the picture gallery who have no hook. That's not because we've forgotten. That's because you're going to receive what we call a neck decoration. If you're going to receive a neck decoration, it goes over the head in one piece and hangs around the neck. If you are going to receive one, help the Queen by just inclining your head so she can put it over the top. While the Queen is attaching the insignia to you, she'll be talking to you. Obviously, you respond. She will then shake your hand. It is a firm and positive handshake. You will not miss it. It is also the indication that your time is up. When you get your hand shaken, please take 2 or 3 paces backwards, stop again for another little curtsy or bow, turn to your right and continue across the ballroom to go out of the opposite door to the one through which you came in. What happens to you then is you're routed round through another little cross gallery where it's all taken off, put into its box and handed back to you quicker than I can say, and then you're routed further round and the gentlemen ushers guide you to the empty seats to watch those who are to follow. Got it? Any questions for me?
Yes, you said that you move forward after hearing your name and ignore what else is being said after your name. So while you're moving forward, something else might be being said.
The Lord Chamberlain will be continuing to read, having read out Mr. John Brown for services to the community in Huddersfield, which I bet it isn't. Anyway, you're moving while that little bit comes on. Okay?
Why do the ladies get a brooch and the men get a medal?
Historically, it was ever thus, because not very long ago, the ladies got nothing, and the gents got all the medals. Right? Quite right and proper, some would say. Now, you get the equal thing. Also, there's no real reason why you can wear a medal, unless you're wearing uniform or being frightfully butch. But you can wear your brooch very nicely on a dress. So that's 2 good reasons. Okay? I'll think of some more. Yes?
How would you address Her Majesty?
Thank you very much indeed. That's wonderful. It happens every time. No, it's a very good question. The rest of them think they know the answer. It means they either have or haven't been sitting up all night reading the good book. If you were reading the good book, it would say that you should address the Queen the first time as Your Majesty and thereafter as Ma'am. Your conversation with the Queen inevitably is going to be short this morning. Tongues get twisted at times like this. Your Majesty is quite a handful to get the teeth round. So stick to Ma'am. Unless you're really brave and going to go for it, it's Ma'am. But Ma'am, please, and not Ma'am. It's jam and not any other thing. Anything else? Don't be shy. All quite happy? Right? Right? All quite happy? Thank you very much. Well, relax, enjoy it. It's a wonderful day. It's a great day in your life. I'm afraid, like school prize giving, it's actually like following the one in front. But be careful. If you're a gentleman and it's a lady, well, don't all curtsy. Thank you very much.
The scene is set, the briefings are over, and the investiture is about to begin. It is 11 o'clock.
be seated.
Clearly, it is the dream of millions of the Queen's subjects to be one of those she meets. And there is no doubt the Queen enjoys meeting the people. Investitures like this enable her to meet exceptional people from all walks of life. Sir Winston Churchill once said, "The object in presenting medals, stars and ribbons is to give pride and pleasure to those who deserve them." On view throughout the palace is a treasure trove of works of art that established the royal collection as one of the most important in the world today. There is a feast of fine paintings by such great European masters as Rubens, Vermeer, Rembrandt, Van Dyck, Poussin, Zuccarelli and Canaletto. There can be few waiting rooms in the world that offer their visitors such a wonderful display of original art as these galleries give today's recipients and their guests. The court correspondents are there to talk to the recipients. During the season, many celebrities are honored, some perhaps from the world of show business or sport, or fundraisers from various charities.
The Most Excellent Order of the British Empire to be Commanders, Military Division, Most Honourable Order of Bath to be a Companion, Military Division, Royal Victoria Order to be a Commander, Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. Paul to be Companions.
Investitures are traditional, and I'm always absolutely fascinated by the people who come and all the things that they've done, and they all have different reactions. They all can tell you something different. And if you ask the right questions, or if if you know a little bit about what happens there, you can always, it is always different. Some of them are very cleverly discovered, you know. I think that's very important. The system does discover people who do unsung things, you know, that perhaps the local people know about, but nobody else does. And I think that's very satisfactory.
Jean, Mrs. Dunlop, for services to the community in Ballantrae, Ayrshire.
One mustn't have a long conversation, obviously, because you'd never finish. The question you ask is what is you hope that you're going to get the answer that you want. Some say that this is for the people I work with. It's a representation rather than for themselves, which is also nice. this is also meant to be a pat on the back. And I think people need pats on the back sometimes. It's a very dingy world otherwise.
Each investiture ceremony lasts a little over an hour and brings together not only those whose efforts may be well known to us all, but also those whose achievements we may not have heard of until brought to the fore by the investiture ceremony. As today's investiture comes to an end, there can be no doubt that the day will have given lasting pride and pleasure to all.
It was a very exciting, nerve-wracking occasion, but lovely. Enjoyed every moment of it.
I'm 74, and never in my life have I been able to experience anything like it, to come up to it. And the Queen, she's wonderful.
Even the very important people who are here today, they feel exactly the same way that I do. It's something that we have and nobody else has in the world, you know.
It's great to be here today. We have had a marvellous time with a lot of seriousness too. It's great.
It's very, very nerve-wracking meeting the Queen, but she puts you very much at your ease. Very enjoyable. The day I'll always remember.
It was just beautifully organised. It was a lovely experience. I enjoyed it.
I think it's been a beautiful day. It's been really nice. It's been an honour to be here, which is lovely.
I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. I suppose it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing.